Hey everyone, Shaedow here, and welcome to another Marvel Contest of Champions video. So this is a guide for Realm of Legends. If you have not done Realm of Legends, or you're thinking about going back in for any reason like farming potions, which is what I was doing, hopefully this will be helpful to you. So these are the opponents that you will face in Realm of Legends. You have 11 bosses. They have more health. One nice thing about Realm of Legends is that no one has their third special active, so you can fight a little differently. You can fight more aggressively, not having to worry about baiting out their special 1 or their special 2 unless you have a problem with their special 2. Otherwise you can just go ham. Alright, now for the most part any champion that you have will work. If you play well, any of them will work. The two exceptions are Scarlet Witch and Wolverine. Scarlet Witch because she likes to throw poisons, so you want to bring someone who's poison immune. You don't have to. You can bring someone who is not poison immune, but it'll make your life a lot easier if you just bring a poison immune for her. Now Wolverine is a completely different matter. If you do not bring someone who can handle Wolverine, this is where your journey will end. No amount of revives is going to help you get past this Wolverine. If you don't bring a poison immune for Scarlet Witch, it'll just cost you a lot more revives, because if she gets that RNG and puts the poisons on you a lot, you're going to end up dying more often than you would have ordinarily. But Wolverine, he will heal all the way back up to full, and if you have no way to stop his health or to out damage his health regen, you're not going to get past him at all. And you see how far down he is. There are a lot of people who shed many salty tears because they got through and they just had those last 3 fights left and they encountered Wolverine and did not have a counter for him. So bear that in mind. On each fight I will talk about some champions that are good for that particular fight, and when we get to Wolverine I'll talk about the different options that I think are the best options for handling Wolverine. Alright, so you can see the team that I went in with. These are of course my most powerful champions, with the exception of Void, who's a 4-star, and Star-Lord, who is only rank 3. My Spider-Man Stark Enhanced is rank 5. Archangel and Hyperion are rank 4. But the reason that I went in here with that team is because I'm farming potions, but I also wanted to make a guide. So if you have the 4-star versions of these guys, they work really well. But as I said in the intro, any champion will work with the exception of those 2 fights. You want to bring a poison immune and somebody to handle Wolverine. Other than that, any champion that you have will work. Alright, so the first up, as you can see, is Winter Soldier. Not a lot to deal with here, but one thing to bear in mind, especially if you're trying to go through this entire thing and save resources. You want to bait out Winter Soldier Special 1. Reason being that Special 2, very difficult to deal with. Okay, so you see there, I just blocked. But if you take a lot of block damage, it may not kill you, especially if you're here with a 4-star, but it's going to eat away at your health, and that means you're going to end up having to use more resources. So you want to try to bait out that Special 1 as much as possible because it's very easy to evade. Now with the Special 2, there is a way to avoid some of that damage. You can evade the final bullets, but you have to get that timing down just right, or you will get caught and you'll possibly take bleed damage. You may get stunned and get stun locked and wrecked. So it's not safe by any means. Safest way to do this is to bait out that Special 1. Other than that, it's a pretty straightforward fight. what I would suggest is going against Winter Soldier until you can get him down in one try without using any resources whatsoever. When you can do that, then I believe you are ready to tackle on Realm of Legends. If you're not able to get him down without using resources, practice a little more and just keep going until you can get him down. When I first did Realm of Legends, and you can see that first run through earlier on my channel, I wasn't that good of a fighter at all. Not that I'm the greatest fighter now, but I'm much better than I was when I did Realm of Legends, and it taught me a lot. I mean, at that time, well, you'll see it, I brought in a Star-Lord, but I couldn't even hold a combo, so I did not like him at all. And that leads me to something else I wanted to talk about. I have people ask me a lot of times, do I think this or that champion is God tier, or if this champion is better than this champion. Tier lists are great for beginners to get a rough idea of what champions they should be spending their resources on. But once you get more familiar with the game, you should really see champions as tools. They are problem-solving tools. Okay, so in this particular case, we have Winter Soldier. He's the problem. You want to defeat him. Okay? So, which champion to choose? They are tools. Some tools are going to be better. Archangel is a great tool for Winter Soldier. So is Star-Lord. Okay? So, any of the tools can work as long as you are good with them. Star-Lord is not going to be a good tool against Winter Soldier if you can't hold a combo. Okay? So, just something to bear in mind. Alright, so next up we have Captain Marvel. Now she is poison immune. So Archangel, he can still work because he can still bleed her, but he's not the best option for this particular fight. Now I brought in Star-Lord. And Star-Lord is an MVP for the entire thing, really. So is Spider-Man Stark Enhanced. Both of them are top 2 choices for running Realm of Legends. And even though this Star-Lord is only rank 3, as you'll see, he still gets it done. Again, as long as you can hold a combo. But you can choose almost any champion to take out Miss Marvel. Whichever champion you are the most comfortable with, that's going to be the best champion for you to use against Miss Marvel. It doesn't matter if they rank as a God tier, demigod tier on someone's tier list. It doesn't matter. As long as you can use them well and use them to get down this champion and achieve your goals, then they are a good option for this fight. Alright, so that's pretty much it. This particular fight, her L1 and her L2, very easy to avoid, so I can just go all out. The only thing that I sometimes get a little bit conservative about is with the intercepts, because I'm worried about losing his combo. That's one of the drawbacks to Star-Lord. You know, he does great damage once you've ramped up the combo meter, but once you lose that combo, it's really demoralizing. And you're like, oh man, now I gotta build it back up. And especially if you've gotten used to seeing these 3 and 4 and 5k crits and above, and you have to go back down, and now you're back down there to like 1k crits or so. But this is only my rank 3. At rank 4, he is much better. He is still useful. His main use used to be Labyrinth of Legends, but honestly, anytime you're fighting a boss, somebody with a lot of health, he can be a good option depending on what other nodes you have to deal with. But all in all, this fight pretty straightforward, and I'll talk to you again on the next fight. And that's the end of the Captain Marvel fight. As I said, not too bad. Next up is Juggernaut. Now, Juggernaut can give quite a few people some problems, okay? He goes unstoppable on every single special attack. So he can be very annoying. Alright, so I took in my Spider-Man Stark Enhanced because he does a lot of damage and can get this fight done, so I don't have to deal with that unstoppable very often, but I do still have to deal with it. Now, some good options for this particular fight. If you have a Captain America Infinity War version, he is a really good option for this fight because he ignores unstoppable. So one of the most annoying mechanics of this fight, Captain Infinity War can bypass it. So if you have a 4-star, of course if you have a 5-star, even better. He is a very good option for this fight and will make your life much, much easier. Another option is Blade. Now, when I first did this fight, I did not have a Blade. I don't believe Blade was even in the contest yet. But Blade can shut down his unstoppable if Blade has the right synergy. So that's one of the drawbacks. Blade can get Danger Sense, and it's the Danger Sense that will shut down Juggernaut's ability accuracy, but Juggernaut is not a dimensional being, and by default Blade only, his Danger Sense only works against dimensional beings. That's the only time he gets Danger Sense normally. But with the right synergies, like with Ghost Rider, that Danger Sense will also be active against villains, which Juggernaut is. So if you're planning on bringing Blade in for this fight, you also will need to plan on bringing Ghost Rider for that synergy. You can also bring in Dormammu. Dormammu, that synergy extends it to all Mystic champions. Okay, so either one of those synergies will work if you're planning on bringing Blade in. Now, without the synergy, Blade is still a decent option because he can still bleed this Juggernaut quite well, and he still heals if he is awakened. So, you know, he's still a good option, but if he has those synergies, he is a much better option. Alright, other than those two, there are, you know, several options that you can go with, but as long as you know how to play around that unstoppable, you should be okay. Captain America is also pretty decent because he can block a lot of that and he can take a lot of damage. Alright, so next up we've got Rhino. He is not any more difficult than the Rhinos that you would face outside of Realm of Legends. In fact, this one is a little bit easier because he does not go unstoppable on his dash. So he is easier to deal with. You don't have to worry about you know, getting caught when you go for a parry. So that's very, very nice. And as long as you know how to deal with Rhino, you'll be able to do this fight pretty well. Now, I brought in Archangel because he can bleed and poison, and Rhino has a lot of armor. So this fight can take a long time unless you bring in somebody that has a lot of damage. And since he can be bled and poisoned, Archangel seems to be the perfect choice. Star-Lord works very well. Spider-Man Stark Enhanced also works very well. Alright, so the basic strategy in fighting this Rhino, and pretty much any Rhino, is baiting out their specials. Now remember that in Realm of Legends you don't have to deal with the special 3. So that means just go push him to his L2 if you need to. It's very easy to evade. So is his L1. You want to keep him in the corner as much as possible. Now, that's not as critical of a tactic in Realm of Legends because you're not having to deal with that unstoppable on his dash. But this is a good practice for fighting Rhino in general. And this is how I fight Rhino no matter where I find him anyway. And so I just stay in practice, even though I don't technically have to do that in Realm of Legends. Alright, so other than that, it's a pretty straightforward fight, and I'll see you again on the next fight. Next up is Storm. Now, fighting Storm is no different here than you would fight her anywhere else, except you don't have to deal with her special 3. So if you are good at evading her special 1 and her special 2, then you don't have to worry about baiting out any specials. You can just go in and evade her specials when she throws them. Now, you want to be careful. Storm's specials do a lot more damage the more power you have. So you can get one shot on her special 2 very easily if you mistime that at all. So you want to avoid any of her specials. If you're not really good at evading them at all, you might be better off just blocking. It'll do damage, but you shouldn't get taken out in one hit as long as you weren't, really low in health. Other than that, she's pretty straightforward. Avoid getting hit by her specials, and any champion will work against Storm. So basically, choose a champion that you're comfortable with, and that's who you should use when fighting her. As long as you know how to evade her specials, you'll be just fine. Alright, so that's pretty much the basic strategy there, and I will talk to you on the next fight. next up we have OG Vision. Now this particular Vision is different from the Age of Ultron Vision because this Vision has synthesis, which means he can gain power periodically throughout the fight, like you saw just there, without getting hit or without hitting anyone. Alright, now the Realm of Legends version is actually much easier to deal with than other versions because you don't have to deal with his special 3. Alright, so think about the way you have to fight him normally. Normally you would want to bait out his special 1. You wouldn't want to let him get too far above a bar of power because when he gets that synthesis, he can instantly go to a level 3 and wreck you. But in Realm of Legends, you don't have to worry about his special 3, so you can just go to town and work him over. Now, the reason that I like Spider-Man Stark Enhanced for this particular fight is because he does extra damage against robots. So just look at the damage that he's doing. He finishes this fight very, very quickly. Now, Medusa is also a good option for this particular Vision because she can shut down robots. So if you have a Medusa, you might consider bringing her. She's also poison immune, so she might be useful not just with this OG Vision, but also against Scarlet Witch. So again, just like most of the fights in Realm of Legends, choose a champion that you enjoy playing with, that you actually play very well with, and that's going to be your best option for these fights. If you have a Spider-Man Stark Enhanced, I would recommend bringing him if you play well with him. If you don't play well with Spider-Man Stark Enhanced, then he's not a good option. He does take some practice and some getting used to. I was not very good with him when I first started and would not have chosen him to do any serious content. But now he is my favorite champion. That is why I rank 5'd him, and I used him primarily in Labyrinth of Legends, which is the hardest content in the game currently. Next up, we have Black Panther. And there's nothing special about this Black Panther. His special 1 and his special 2 very easy to avoid. Since he could be bled and poisoned, Archangel was great for this fight, but so was Spider-Man Stark Enhanced. But I chose Archangel just because I have fun seeing all of those bleeds and neurotoxins and all of that just ticking away his health. Other than that, choose the champion. You're going to hear me say that throughout this video. Choose the champion that you are most comfortable with, and that's going to be the best option for this fight. Alright, so enjoy the rest of this fight, and I will pick my narration back up on the next fight.
Finish him.
So up till now, any champion that you chose would work equally well as long as you played well with that champion. Well, Scarlet Witch is a different matter, mainly because she randomly casts poison. So you really want to bring someone who is poison immune or poison resistant to this fight just to save yourself some resources. You can get her down even if you don't bring a poison immune. So if you went in here and you didn't realize that you needed a poison immune, you went looking on YouTube and you happened to stumble across this guide, don't despair. It just means that you're going to end up having to use more resources. But some champions that I would recommend for this fight, obviously Hyperion, who you see I'm using here, and I'll talk a little bit about the strategy that I'm using against her. Medusa works well. Both divisions. Ultron also. Iceman. Any of the Hulks. In fact, Red Hulk, I have not used him, but I believe he would be a very good option because although he is not poison immune, he converts poisons to those heat charges. So he's even better in my opinion. So any of those champions will work. Captain Marvel, she's also poison immune. So any poison immune champion will actually work for this fight. Now, a little bit about my strategy when using Hyperion against Scarlet Witch, and something else you may want to bear in mind. Scarlet Witch not only casts poisons, she also casts weakness. Weakness is going to kill your damage output. So it'll make this fight take much longer. And if you've been following my channel, you know that I do not like long fights. So one of the things that I did with Hyperion, which seemed to work, is I would often spam his L1. That L1 does a lot of incinerate damage and seems to do very well because she also casts a armor up buff on herself. Scarlet Witch is a beast, and back in the day, if you weren't here for it, she was the top champion. She was so overpowered that they had to nerf her. It was sad I didn't get a chance to experience her at the height of her glory, but she is still very good. Alright, but that weakness, you might want to bring somebody that can do, you know, some kind of damage over time, like Hyperion here, who is also poison immune. I think I used Ultron, but I wasn't a fan at the time of using Ultron. The other thing that is annoying about this fight is she has a periodic power drain. Both power meters, like what you just saw there, drain. So you don't want to hold on to your power for very long or else you won't get a chance to use it. So Hyperion, he has a power gain buff. So that sort of counteracts that pretty well. So as you can see here, I'm doing some pretty good damage to her. Yes, it's a rank 4 5-star, but even if you had a 4-star, you're still going to do some pretty good damage. You know, obviously not as much as the rank 4 5-star, but you're still going to do good damage if you spam that L1. You also want to do the L2 so that you can get a stun. He has a random chance to stun on his L2, and you want to do your parry to build up those furies, because the more fury stacks he has, the more damage he does. So that's basic Hyperion 101. You want to build up his fury stacks by doing heavies. You want to spam the L2, get the stun, so that you can again build up those furies. And in this fight, I recommend spamming that L1 because it seems to be very effective. Alright, other than that, evade her special 1, evade her special 2, and you're golden. Alright, so I'll see you again on the next fight. next up we have Wolverine. Now, if you have not prepared, if you did not bring a counter for this Wolverine, your journey will end here because you will not get past him. My top pick for this fight to counter Wolverine's regen is Void. As you will see in this fight, he will reverse Wolverine's regen and take him out pretty quickly and easily. You don't have to do anything more than spam that L1 and stay alive and avoid his special 1 and 2. That's it. The next option is Guillotine. Now, when I did Realm of Legends, that's who I used. But she takes a little bit more work, and there's a little RNG involved in using her. You have to fight pretty aggressively. But if you don't get a regen on Wolverine at just the right time, you can end up having to just restart the fight. Just look at his health melting away. Void makes it very easy. Another option is Sentinel. He can do a heal block on his L1. Star-Lord can just out-damage the regen once he has a high enough combo. And Archangel is also an option if he is awakened. My Archangel is not awakened.
Flawless victory.
Now, I thought Archangel even unawakened might be an option, so I tested it out. The problem is that he can't maintain those poison stacks. See, when Archangel has poison stacks on an opponent, he reduces their healing by 30%. So if you can get 4 stacks of poison on your opponent, even if they proc heals, they're not going to heal. Alright, so I was thinking, well, maybe he might be an option, but you can't keep those poison stacks up, so he needs to be awakened. Alright, and there's other options. Yondu is also a pretty good option. I've seen someone do it with Doc Ock as well. Alright, so next up here, we've got Black Bolt. Black Bolt, nothing really fancy about Black Bolt. Evade his special 1, evade his special 2. You might want to evade the special 1 if you're not good at evading his special 2, because his special 2 can really wreck you if you get hit. You'll get stunned and you may never come out of the stun. Just be happy that you don't have to deal with his special 3, because his special 3 is vicious. But that's pretty much the fight. I brought Starkey in here mainly because, of course, Starkey does so much damage. So the basic strategy, anytime you're fighting with Starkey, build up those poise charges so you can do as much damage as you can, and fire off that L2 that does just so much damage, and wash, rinse, and repeat. So again, any champion can work, but he is also poison immune. So Archangel, not the most optimal, but he could also still work. But bleed champions will work against him. Obviously shock champions will work against him as well. Just depends on who you're most comfortable with and who does the most damage for you on your roster. Alright, so that's it for that fight, and I will see you on the next fight. And last but not least, we come to the final boss, Big Mean Green himself, the Hulk, the ever-loving Hulk. He is my favorite champion in the Marvel Universe. I have been a fan of Hulk and Hulk smashing since I was a little boy. Love him. This fight is pretty straightforward. If you know how to evade his special 1 and his special 2, you're gonna do just fine. The thing to be careful about is if he catches you with either his special 1 or his special 2, you can get wrecked. He does a lot more damage the lower his health is, so that's something also that you want to keep in mind. he is far more dangerous when he's low in health. So again, with this fight, as with many others, any champion will work. He is also poison immune. So again, my Archangel, not the most optimal choice, but I could have brought him in here. But that's really the only thing you have to bear in mind. He's poison immune. He does a lot more damage the lower his health goes. But other than that, you can fight him with pretty much any champion as long as you know how to fight him and avoid his special 1 and his special 2. Alright? And that's really going to do it, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you found it informative and it helped you do your own Realm of Legends run. Maybe you're going back through to farm potions like I'm farming potions in preparation for my final path of Labyrinth of Legends. And hopefully this helps you guys out. If you enjoyed the video, please consider smashing that like button. It really helps me out. If you have not subscribed to the channel already, please consider giving me a subscription. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you thought about this video. If you've already been through Realm of Legends, let me know what your experiences were, who you brought in, and who gave you the most trouble. If you would like to support the channel, take a look in my description, and there's a link in my description to my Patreon account. You can become a patron of this channel. There's a Streamlabs link as well if you want to make a quick one-time donation as well. And down goes Hulk. And you guys have a blessed day.